everyone. I'm Kimberly, and I'm so excited to get to welcome you into my kitchen today. This is probably my favorite kitchen day of the year. It's the day when I'm making my Kimberly's Love Your Body Lotion, which is a lotion that I make for people in my community and for my friends every year at the holidays. And it's also one of the recipes in my new book, Aphrodisiac. And thank you so much for ordering your copy of the book. And I'm really happy that I'm able to make this video for you because this is one of the more complicated recipes in the book. And I would love it if when you make it, it comes out just glorious because it is a really wonderful lotion, and it's one that people ask me for all the time after they've received their small jar. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the instructions and show you how I do this. So the first part is getting your herbal oils ready for making the lotion. And that's actually a process that started in February of last year for me when I harvested the cottonwood buds for this particular oil. This is Balm of Gilead oil. It's made with cottonwood buds and they're infused in almond oil. And this has been infusing for almost a whole year now. Usually with most oils, you don't infuse that long, but cottonwood is one that I do for a whole year because it just gets more and more wonderful the longer it sits. So I'm just going to strain this into some cheesecloth here into a measuring cup and just dump out the oil. And I wanted to show you the straining of this one because I wanted to show you this jar, which is very thick with cottonwood cottonwood buds and whatnot, and I don't bother to clean that out because it's almost impossible. So I just save this jar and use it again for next year's oil. And then in order to strain it, you just kind of wrap this cheesecloth around those cottonwood buds and squeeze the oil out of the cheesecloth so you get as much cottonwood yumminess into the oil as possible. I love the colors of these oils too when they're infused. Now, if you don't have cottonwood bud oil already sitting on your counter and ready to strain in this way, which I'm imagining most of you don't, it is possible to buy cottonwood infused oil on Etsy. It's either searching under cottonwood oil or Balm of Gilead, that's its other name. You can find that. And, you know, I've made a whole quart of it here, but you really don't need a whole quart of oil if you're just making one batch of lotion. I make 100 jars to give out at the holidays, but really you only need to make one little batch, which makes 7 or 8 jars, and you have lovely gifts that you can give to your friends or enough lotion to use for a while for yourself. So then I just take this whole bit of cottonwood and compost it. All right, so that's the straining of the cottonwood oil. And then I also have rose oil, which is rose petals infused in almond oil. And then calendula oil, which is this beautiful golden color, which is calendula flowers infused in grapeseed oil. And so these are the different ingredients for making the Love Your Body lotion. And what we're going to start by doing is we're going to melt this beeswax. So this is 3/4 of an ounce of beeswax, and we're going to melt it in the double boiler. So we just put the beeswax in the top of the double boiler, and I just turned it on so it'll be a little bit before it starts to melt. So while the beeswax is melting, you can fill your 3rd cup with coconut oil. And then as soon as it gets completely melted, you want to add that to your double boiler top. So the ratios that I use in this recipe are actually from a recipe by Rosemary Gladstar, and it's just a really nice ratio of oils to waters to get a really smooth lotion or cream. So once the coconut oil is fully melted, then you're going to be adding your other oils. So you can go ahead and pour your rose oil into your 1/4 cup measuring cup and have that ready. Because we want the oils to be hot for as little a time as possible. All right, so then when we put the rose oil in, you'll notice the beeswax gets solidified a little bit again. And we're just going to add each one of these oils. This is the calendula. And then we're also going to add the cottonwood. Okay, so as soon as your oils are all melted, you're going to want to get that off the heat. And then I just like to dry the bottom of the double boiler. So then you're going to take your oils and you're going to pour them into your blender. You can use a rubber spatula, to get the last bits. Then we have to do a little bit more waiting because it's important when you add the water for the oils to be slightly cooler than they are now. So we're going to wait just to that point where the oils are almost at the point where they're going to start solidifying. So it takes a little bit of time for them to cool down. Okay, so while the oils are cooling, we can go ahead and measure out our waters. So we need 1/3 cup of each of these different waters. So this is a rose hydrosol. We need 1/3 cup of that. And then we need 1/3 cup of chamomile hydrosol. So many delicious things in this oil. The lotion. So there's 1/3 cup of chamomile and then 1/3 cup of aloe vera gel. Once those are all mixed together, we're going to be adding them to the oils, which is really the tricky part of lotion making. What you're doing when you're making a lotion is you're combining oil and water, which are two things that don't like to mix together. So it can be a little bit tricky, this phase of the process. So what happens is once this is cooled a bit, we're going to start it blending in the blender. And we're going to raise the blender all the way up to high. And while it's spinning on high, I'm going to pour the waters in to the oils, and then they're going to quickly mix and emulsify, so they'll blend together and become creamy. And sometimes that works really smoothly, and sometimes it takes a little playing with to get it to come out right. So we'll see how this batch does. Okay, so this is feeling about right to me now. It's just a little bit above room temperature, and you can see along the edges they're starting to turn sort of opaque. And so I think it's about at the point where it's going to start solidifying if we don't do something with it. So that's my moment. So I'm going to go ahead and put the lid onto the blender. And then I'm going to start it going on low. This is always good to start on low. And then I'm going to raise it to high, right? Right, so it just whips to the point that it does because, you know, as they start to mix, it just gets chunky really quick. So then you just take your spatula and kind of help the last little bits of water get mixed in there. So once you get the waters mixed in, then I like to just give it a one little run on low just to finish it out and make it really smooth. Yeah, so this is a Vitamix, which is a really sweet blender that we got as a wedding present, actually, and we love it. But you can do this in a regular blender. You don't need a fancy Vitamix blender to do this lotion. Okay, so you can see it's become very nice and creamy, and we're ready now to pour it into our jars. All right, so we have them all set out here, and we're just gonna pour it into each one. I really, really love this lotion. It's super nourishing for your skin, and just so it's got a beautiful texture when you put it on, and it's not too greasy. So you can use it as a face cream or a body lotion. A lot of the people that I give it to ask for a second jar or ask if they can buy some. And I don't sell it. I just make it for holiday gifts. But now everyone has the recipe because it's in the book, so everyone can make their own. Oh, one more thing I should tell you: if you're going to make a large amount, like I'm making this 100 jars today, that I always make it in these small batches, so that's why it sort of takes me all day to make the 100 jars, because it's really hard to get the oil and water to emulsify in bigger batches. Okay, so once you have it in your jars, you're just gonna go ahead and put lids on these. I can probably get another jar out of there, but it would take a little while with the spatula, so you don't need to sit here and watch that. Depending on how nicely they go into the jars, you might want to use a chopstick to just kind of make it beautiful. And if it's real messy like this one, because it didn't just get poured, you can also use a paper towel. Make it pretty. And then we just put our lids on, and you have a beautiful gift that you can give to someone you love. So I hope that your Love Your Body Lotion comes out beautifully and brings you so much pleasure.